Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Susan. Welcome, everybody, to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Josh Taylor, in tonight for Rich Walsh. Joining me in studio, columnist for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, also hosts his own show on 93.7 The Fan. Paul Zeise joining me right now. Paul, let's get to the most recent stuff. Pirates beat the Brewers 7-3. Another night, they score a handful of runs early. Good pitching performance. Jamison Tyone last night, Nick Kingham tonight. We saw that. Bullpen kind of gets into a little bit of a scrape, but they managed to get past it late in the game. But these two games, 5 games in 4 days for the Pirates and Brewers. So we know tomorrow is when things can get out of hand. There's a doubleheader and anything can happen. But to win those first 2 games before you get to the doubleheader, it's a pretty good way to start the weekend.
Of course it is. I just don't know what it means. I mean,
is an entirely different discussion.
Neil Huntington was, well, this is a really important week. What are you talking about? You could win the next 4 days, the next 4 games, sweep them in a 5-game series, and you still ain't going to the playoffs. You still ain't good enough.
Here's what's interesting.
But at least it'll be interesting. And here's the thing: all of the little Neil Huntington's, apologists that run around town and try and tell everybody that questions and criticizes that they don't know what they're talking about.
They're still here?
Yeah. Well, no. Every time the Pirates start to win a little bit, they get really happy and they start coming out of the woodwork again. So to where they win 4 or 5 games or whatever in a row, they'll all start to come out of the woodwork and get all excited about everything, and it's like, pump the brakes, okay? Every team has a few good games.
What's really interesting, and it's something I saw quite a bit. A lot of people said the same thing. This team's going to go on a run in this next week or 2, and then they'll get to the trade deadline, and nothing will happen because they'll think everything is okay. That general fear is what I'm starting to grab a consensus of, and I don't know how to react to that.
But I don't
know if it's funny or sad.
I think that something's going to happen no matter what.
I would agree with that.
So it doesn't matter to me.
Now, whether it's adding or subtracting is a different story.
Don't take anything away from them. They played really well tonight. Yeah. I mean, the last 2 nights, they've won 2 games, and that's great. But, I mean, I don't know that way. I get a kick out of these people that get all giddy every time they win a few games, or, they go on like a stretch where they go 7 of 10 or 7 of, you know what I mean? The team has some good stretches like that. It doesn't matter. This is not a playoff team, period.
Clint Hurdle will tell you, when you get into the winning streaks, you start waiting for the losing streak. You get into the losing streaks, you can start waiting for the winning streak because there are ups and downs in this game. I'll shift it to this question because we just talked about how, there could be some things happening around the trade deadline. I know a lot of people are going to tell you that a lot of things on this team need to be fixed. Priority 1, what would you pick, Paul?
Well, I think this team needs to get better defensively. I don't know how you do that with the players that they have, but this is a bad defensive team. That's number 1. I think they need still, Nick Kingham looks like he might be pretty good, but they still need another pitcher in my mind. The bullpen needs some help, but priority 1, I don't know, probably some power in their lineup.
Power wouldn't hurt. Power wouldn't hurt. I mean, we're starting to see more of it now. Gregory Polanco just crushes a ball that none of the fielders even moved when he hit it, but he by himself, and we've seen enough that he by himself, while already being an up-and-down guy, already being a streaky guy, being frustrating in himself, he by himself is not enough. They need more help with him, and that's why I asked what priority 1 is, because there are so many different things, Paul, that you can look at and say, well, they need this, and they need that, and they need this, and they need that. And the truth of the matter is, the reason why they're probably in the position that they are in now, because they need so many things that other teams that are contenders, that are leading their divisions or in the wild card race, those teams already have those things in their staples, and they're pretty much just general things that the good teams already have.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, they also have more of it. So,
right. Exactly.
I mean, again, this last part of the season should be all about fixing whatever is ailing this team and getting ready for next year. That's what it should be about. This thing, the worst thing that could happen for this team is that they get on a little winning streak and they pull it within like 5 games or 6 games and 4 games of the wild card or something, and then all of a sudden people actually start to believe that they might be, really ready to make a playoff run. They're not.
You definitely cannot get caught up in fool's gold. I want to shift it here for a second because not every day we get to talk about college baseball on this show. But we'll do it here. Pitt introduces their new coach. Mike Bell is the new guy, 5th in program history as far as head coaches at Pitt. But I don't want to talk about him as being the hire for the baseball program. I want to talk a little bit about Heather Lyke. She's had to do quite a bit of coaching hires here. Men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball in a short period of time. And if there's something I can pick out, being an ACC athletic director, she needs a coach. She goes and gets an ACC coach for men's basketball. She gets an ACC assistant coach for women's basketball, gets an ACC coach for Pitt. None of them were head coaches, but when you're in the ACC, which is highly competitive, if you can't be competitive for the best head coaches, get a top assistant. That's what she's doing. I want to get your thoughts on that, though, as far as the scope of making that hire within the conference and getting a conference person to fit that role.
I mean, I think it's what you do if you're Pitt. I think one of the biggest problems with Pitt is they still, they've started to, with these hires and with the new mentality they've had over the last, say, year and a half or whatever it's been since Heather Lyke's been here. But they had never really mentally and emotionally made the switch to we're an ACC team now. And they were still trying to be a Big East team or whatever. And by making this kind of decision, it tells me that Heather Lyke gets it, that we need to really change our mentality and become an ACC team, like a real legitimate ACC team. We need to recruit like ACC teams recruit. We need to, build programs the way ACC teams build programs. We need people in place that know the conference.
That's fair.
So to me, I mean, again, and like any hire, you don't know if it's going to work or it's not. But in terms of what you're looking for as a profile of a coach, she's hit it out of the park 3 times in a row.
Steps in the right direction.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that. We are going to take a break here before we get to that. A lot of things we got to get to. We will talk about the Ruth's Chris sizzling shot with a high five to a local golfer who shot a hole in one. The sizzling shot brought to you by Ruth's Chris at 6 PPG Place downtown, home of the sizzling steak done right. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. Stay with us.
The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters.
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse congratulates this week's golfers who scored a hole-in-one. And if you're looking to celebrate or just want a perfect meal, then tee up a sizzling steak at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Pittsburgh's most awarded steakhouse where you'll never need a mulligan.